Hey everybody, welcome to another Papa D video, and I'm going to start this video with talking about some pianos and also using insert effects. So as far as pianos go, and I had some questions from some people about pianos and insert effects, and let's start with pianos. I stated that I've said it before, if you're in a band, especially a rock band, playing piano sounds, you usually are going to want a brighter piano to so it'll just cut through better, and so you can be heard. We all know guitar players can be very, very loud. And let's see, the CFX Pop Studio Grand is a pretty bright piano. It's a little brighter than the CFX Concert. Let's start with this CFX Pop Studio Grand, and I've got it selected already. I'm going to hit Performance Home, and the DB here, that's my initials. This is actually, I started with the stock CFX Pop Studio Grand Performance, the one that comes with the MODX, and I made some minor changes to it, and then I just renamed it as Pop Studio Grand DB, my initials. And I do that a lot. Then if I want to find all the performances that I've modified or customized, I can go using the search feature, and if I type in DB, it's going to come up with all of the customized performances that I've created. Now, let's look at what I've done to this guy. First of all, let's look at the EQ. So I'm in Effect, EQ, and my PA speakers tend to be a little boxy sounding. They're good quality speakers, but some of the piano sounds, or most of the piano sounds, just sound a little boxy. So where does boxiness come from? What frequency range? Well, it's in the mid range of frequencies, and you can experiment. If you want to adjust your EQ settings, what I suggest you do is dial in an extreme either cut or boost. And usually you want to cut when you're making EQ adjustments. You don't want to boost too much. Sometimes I'll boost the highs up in the 2K region or higher to just give a little brightness and sometimes a little sizzle to some of the sounds. But generally, you should probably cut frequencies more than you boost. So do an extreme cut, and the most you can do is 12 dB, and then start playing. So here I'm just playing a C chord starting at C2, so C major triad, and then I'm using the wheel to change the frequency, and you can see the graph is moving. And with the extreme setting of 12 dB, you can hear the effect more clearly than if you only had a minor adjustment. And then if you find a frequency that you've cut that gives you the result you want, but it's going to be too extreme probably, then you can go back up here and crank that guy up to a more reasonable number. And typically 3 to 6 dB is going to be plenty. So I've got about a 3 dB cut at about 400 hertz, and that reduces that boxy sounding. I also cut the lows by 3 dB. Let's call it 3 exactly, down around in the low hundreds, because I don't want to compete with the bass in the band, and piano can get pretty heavy down in the low frequency ranges on some tunes if you're playing down low. So you don't want to be fighting the bass player, and it helps a little bit to reduce that frequency range, at least 3D, if not a little more. And that's that. And also let's look at the inserts. I haven't done too much with this. I'm guessing that the stock sound probably has these same two effects plugged in. But let's say you wanted a little more compression. This is a compressor, okay, and I selected it. And this one's under miscellaneous, but there's a bunch of other compressors here under comp for compressor. And you have a VCM 376, a classic, a multiband, and let's say I pick the multiband, and now you can pick a preset. And here's a tip for you: you don't have to close this before you select the preset. You can leave this open and then click touch preset, and now you've got your choices under the multiband comp: basic, maximizer, wild, attacky, hard, etc., etc. If you're really looking for some heavy compression, you can mess around with these, and you can do other effects. Obviously, let's say you wanted anything you want. You can throw in a delay. You can throw in a chorus effect, and chorus effects typically not used with acoustic piano sounds, but very often used with sounds like Fender Rhodes pianos. See, there's a chorus on a piano sound. You can do flangers. Under each one, you have multiple types of effects boxes that you can select, right? The SPX, I have found those to be pretty high quality, and you'll see SPX also under the reverbs, and you've got SPX Hall, Room, Stage, and some other reverbs you can choose. Other effects, you have phasers, you have tremolo, or rotary speakers. Rotary speakers, it would be a Leslie effect, typically used with organ. Tremolo, that's tremolo, and once you select tremolo, you've got some presets. There's fast, slow, super fast. I can't imagine why you would ever want that sound. That's pretty horrible. Now, vibrato versus tremolo. Tremolo is a fluctuation, periodic fluctuation of the volume level, the loudness of a sound. Vibrato is a fluctuation of the pitch. And hear how it kind of wavers. It's on piano, it's not a pleasant sound in my opinion. Spring, no idea why you'd want that. Relax, that's a slow tremolo going back and forth in the stereo field. So now once you pick one of these, let's say I've used tremolo on sometimes on Fender Rhodes sounds. It can be pretty nice, and also on guitar sounds. Tremolo can be nice, and you can adjust the speed of the tremolo. So I've got tremolo set up with the fast preset as my insert B. If I want to make some adjustments to that, I'm going to select insert B, and the LFO, or low frequency oscillator, that's the speed of the tremolo. So I can speed it up or I can slow it down to get whatever speed I want. I can adjust the amplitude modulation depth. That's how extreme the sound is. As I go higher, you can hear it getting more intense and more subtle as you reduce that number. PM depth is what? Yeah, the PM is dialing in some vibrato. You hear that, how the pitch is wavering? And you can speed that up. Yeah, so you get some pretty wild effects. But if you want just plain old tremolo, you're going to leave that at 0. And there's other things you can do in here, mess around with the EQ of certain frequencies. This keyboard has an incredible depth in it. Everything that you do with it, you can just dive deeper and deeper and deeper. And usually I don't. Let's talk about, we talked about EQ, yes, and routing. And then there's the reverb send. Of course, the higher the number, let's see. The higher the number, the more the reverb. Right? You can hear it diminishing. And you might be wondering, well, what reverb is that? Because insert A has just a damper resonance effect, and insert B, I just put a tremolo effect in. There was no reverb on insert A or B. The answer to that problem, the answer to that is that the reverb is right here, and it's SPX Hall. So this, what I just did, I selected common, which is all the parts. Think of it as a level of effects above each individual part, meaning that these effects are going to be applied to every part in the performance. And you'll see that I've got the SPX Hall and Large Hall selected for this performance. And I think that's by default. I don't think I changed that. I do like the SPX effects. I think they're very high quality. The reverbs I think are excellent. And here you can, I think you can adjust the overall level of the reverb. Yeah, you can increase it here. This is going to be applied to the entire performance, all parts in the performance. Now, having said that, this particular performance only has the one part. So what that boils down to is you have two ways of increasing or decreasing the reverb, let's say, for this performance. You can do it at the part level, which I'm in now. I'm in part 1. And I can tweak the reverb send there. But I can also go back to the common. Again, we moved up a level, and I can go to effect, and then reverb, and I can do it up here, yeah, or I can go down here and even adjust parameters of the reverb. A lot of these things I never touch. I've never felt the need to touch them. I just mainly want to get a level of reverb that sounds good to me. Let's look at some other piano sounds that I use. Here's one that I created called Acoustic Piano Deep. I'll hit Performance Home. Let's take a look at it. Okay, it consists of 3 different piano. Let's turn these ARPs off. Don't need the ARPs. It consists of 3 different piano parts. There's the Acoustic Piano DA that I mentioned earlier. That's a very bright piano. I also layered that with the Mellow Grand, and also with the CFX Pop Studio Grand. Now look at these purple lines. What are they telling you? Well, these 2 parts play the entire range of the keyboard, from the very lowest note to the very top. This guy, part 3, only starts at C4, right there. And the reason for that was I found that, especially in again, a live setting, playing out in front of people through a PA with a band, whatever, I wanted the higher range notes on the piano keyboard to cut through a little bit more, to be a little louder. Yeah, so that just, again, having that CFX Pop Studio Grand piano kicking in when you get to C4 and above just adds a little brightness and volume to those upper range notes, which is good for soloing. This part 1, as I mentioned, it's a performance called Acoustic Piano DA, and it's very bright sounding piano. And I use that on songs like Saturday in the Park. The next one, I've got that layered with Mellow Grand, and it says dB. That's because it's the Mellow Grand is a performance that comes with the MODX. It's one of the stock performances built into the keyboard. But I took that stock Mellow Grand performance and made some minor mods to it, and I called it Mellow Grand dB, my initials. So that one sounds like this. And as the name would suggest, it's a lot more mellow. You don't want equal volumes on the two parts because this guy would bury that guy essentially. You'd hear mostly this guy and just hardly any of him. Even as it is now, you hear mostly you're hearing mostly the part one, the bright one, but it's kind of it's fattened up with the layering of the Mellow Grand with it. Yeah, so that's just one example of a piano sound that I've created to my liking, basically, and it works in certain situations. I'll pull up that particular performance, Acoustic Piano Deep. Somebody asked me about vocoder effect. Vocoder effect. So let's look at it. First of all, I'm just going to search. I'll search for VOCO, and it should come up. Yeah, a bunch of vocoders come up. I have created a couple here. This Get Lucky vocoder performance and DB vocoder 2. I created those. These other ones came with the MODX. So if you do a search for vocoder on your MODX, you'll come up with these top 8 vocoders, and they can be a good starting point. Actually, for example, I'm going to pick a single part vocoder, the funky vocoder. Now, to use a vocoder, what you want to do is plug a mic into the A to D mono input on the back of your keyboard. Then you want to turn on the A to D input function, which is over there next to the mod wheel, and you'll see A to D input and then on off. So just touch that on off button, turn it on, it'll light up, and then put the gain pretty high up. I've got the gain all the way up to where the little white arrow is at the 3 o'clock position. So it's pretty high up. Also, you'll find that you'll have to go to Utility. I just touched the Utility button, and then Settings, Audio I/O, and then I think by default your A to D input will probably be set to line, but you want to change that over to mic, and then hit Exit. And now your vocoder effect should work. I've got a Shure SM57 microphone plugged in to that A to D mono input, and I'm just picking it up now, and I'm going to talk into it and play, and let's see if it's going to work. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, it's working. It's working. Yeah. We're up all night to get lucky. 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 Now, if you probably just noticed, because I've got the other mic still on, you probably noticed that I was just talking in a monotone. We're up all night to get lucky. We're up all, and as I was doing that, I was playing the chords on the keyboard: a C minor chord, then an E flat, then a G minor chord, and then an F chord. That's all there is to it. So you know what? Let's start from scratch. I'm going to category, performance category search. I am going to select a synth. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to take a single part synth lead. Okay, and I'm going to look for a basic saw. You know what? Let's just search for saw. Yeah, save time. Let's take bright saw, and and I'm going to hit Performance Home. And first of all, let's see if we can get rid of that delay. Yeah, there it is. So, okay. I went to the common, and I turned off the tempo cross delay. And we've got a little reverb. I'll leave that reverb where it is. I'll hit exit. Now let's go back to this part, and I don't need the ARP. Go back to the part, hit edit. We're going to select on insert A down miscellaneous here, which is at the very bottom of all the different effects you can choose from. The miscellaneous, and then there's vocoder. Okay, I'll close that. We'll stay with the basic preset. I'm not sure what other, yeah, that's the only preset you have for vocoder. But modulator. So what's going to modulate the vocoder? Well, it's your A to D input, which is your mic, your voice. And when you go to modulator, touch that, you have a choice of things that'll do the modulating of the vocoder, and you want the A to D, right? I'm also noticing that this particular performance that I chose is monophonic. There it is. So I'm going to go poly. Let's try it again. See if I get a chord.
Up all night to get, up all night to get, up all night to get. We're up all night to get lucky. Up all night to get.
Yeah, that worked. That's pretty much how you do it. Okay. So you can go through that procedure and build your own vocoder. And the cool thing about that is you can use any kind of a synth sound to do your vocoder effect. The sawtooth seems to be the most effective in my experience, and the most common, but other ones might work just as well. I've not messed with it that much. So that's vocoders. I hope that helped. Let's look at another big hit song. This one for Justin Timberlake, Can't Stop the Feeling. And here it is. I've got my performance selected, and I'm going to hit Performance Home. And again, we've got 8 parts in this performance. And this one, for a big, fat, padded piano sound. And basically the song, there's not a whole lot to it. It starts with a C, and then it goes to an A minor. And then there's a weird chord after the A minor that's kind of like an F major 9. And you'll notice a little bit of tremolo happening. Can you hear that? And again, that's in the original recording. So which one of these has that effect? Yeah, it's there. It's there. It's not there. That's just a pad. Yeah, the scene 1 is just these first 3 parts. So it's a Pop Studio, CFX Pop Studio Grand sound, right? And then it's that acoustic piano DA that is very bright. Talked about that guy. Right? And these 2 guys, 1 and 2, have some tremolo. Let's see if we can see that. Go to Effect. Oh, it's not exactly tremolo. It's an auto pan. Right? Auto pan is similar to a tremolo. In fact, you find it under the tremolo/rotor effect grouping. Auto pan it's going to move the sound back and forth in the stereo field from left to right at a regular pace, and you can change that pace, which I think I did. If I go to Insert A, yeah, I turned that LFO speed, which is the rate, down to 1.89 hertz. I think I did that I think it kind of matches the tempo of the song more or less. Although it wasn't really critical to match the tempo. I just wanted to get the basic tremolo effect in there. Okay, and then what else happened? Yeah, the other chords in the song, when it goes to that little chorus part, it's a G minor 7 over a C. C. And that's like a B flat major 7 over a C. Back to the C. And then this I'm going to call an F minor 9 over B flat. It's your basic 2 over 5 if you want to get technical. But it's A flat, C, E flat, G over B flat on the left. To a plain old B flat triad. Then F minor 7. And you can bring in the whoosh. And that's pretty much all there is to Can't Stop the Feeling. There are some horns that come in late in the song. And I've got those up here on the right-hand side of the keyboard. And they just do some little simple horn lines that I'm not going to show you those now. So that's all I do to Can't Stop the Feeling. But basically you want a very fat keyboard sound, pianos, bright pianos with pads. That's what I use for Can't Stop the Feeling.